Hey pilots, Drain Man here, and today I have a very special video. Today we are going to take a first look at the Eachine Twig. So this quad right here is a Toothpick class drone. It comes assembled and ready to go. It does not come with a battery, and it does come with one extra set of props. These are Gemfan 3025s. They are bi-blade props, which just seem to be better on the Toothpick class. This quad here is $98. So we're going to break this thing down. We are going to check it out. It literally just came out. I think this is the only video at this moment on this quad. It uses 3-inch props, and it does anywhere from 2 to 3S on LiPo. Alright, so something I do want to do is I want to put it side by side with one of the top Toothpicks right now, which is the Emax Tiny Hawk Freestyle. And as you can see, there's quite some resemblance there. This is rocking a 5200 kV motor. So let's go ahead and crack this open and take a look, and then I'm going to show you guys how to set it all up. Okay, so what comes with it? Well, what comes with it is a screwdriver, a extra set of props because a set of props comes on it. You also get a battery pad to keep it from sliding all around. You get a couple extra screws and one extra gummy grommet and one extra nut. So you do have a hard plastic canopy. I do want to take note that it does guard your camera, so if you were to hit dead on, you would not destroy your camera in the first blow like the Tyro69. And if you guys haven't checked that video out, I'll put it down in the video description. You've got to check that out. Alright, let's pop this off and let's see what's under the hood. Alright, so you see here you've got your camera plug, which allows you to change the camera if you wanted to, but I don't know why you would. This is a Runcam Racer Nano 2. You can see that right there. It's the Nano 2. This is a really good little micro camera. I don't see any reason to change that. Alright, so looking under the hood here at our VTX, you've got your switch button, you've got your camera connection, and then you've got a series of LED lights right here. And basically what these are, this is going to tell you your bands and your channels. Right here is your bands, right here is your channels. Then you've got 3 little lights right here, and those are indicating to you which power level you are. And that is super awesome because to get, like when you buy the Emax Tiny Hawk, which mind you is over $100, you're not getting more than 25 milliwatts without upgrading the VTX. So the fact that this one comes with 25, 100, and 200 milliwatt options right off the bat makes this a better little guy right out of the box. I do want to mention that it is default to run on 200, and if you want to change that, you can change it through Smart Audio, which I'm going to show you how to set up, or you can also change it in the CLI command. I'm going to also show you how to do that. Right here you have your connector. This is your main connector, so if you're familiar with a 4-in-1 or anything like that, then you know what this connector is. So you can get this little guy without the Runcam Nano 2. I decided to go with this one because that's what Banggood sent me. I didn't really have a choice. You can also get this with the Caddx Baby Turtle 2. And that's really cool because that means you're going to get HD footage right off the board. I'm not going to take this off to show you. It's going to be our all-in-one, or AIO. Now what that is it's our flight controller with a built-in receiver and also built-in ESCs. And a lot of guys are wondering right now, well, if it has a built-in receiver, then what is this for? And that is just another option if you wanted to plug in a external S-Bus receiver. You have this right here because this comes with a built-in stock D8 Frsky receiver. So for if any reason you wanted to run Fly Sky or Spectrum or whatever, that's what this little wire is for. And I think it is limited to S-Bus, which means you'll only be able to add like an XM or an XM Plus or even an RXSR. That's what this little guy here is going to be for. At this moment, I am not going to cut it off or eliminate it because I'm not sure how this other one's going to perform. You'll see right here the little dangly wire. That is your receiver wire. I am going to put a little zip tie or something on it to hold it down. I would recommend doing that to all of the motor wires. If they pop up, these things are just going to cut them right off. You can see too, before we get into the flight controller, I do want to show you these motors. I feel like they're little and they're probably cheap, but they're somehow appealing. I feel like they're really good looking. I feel like they're really good motors. So I don't know. We'll find out when we get this thing in the air. You know how it is with PID tuning and, you know, the little flutter that you get and things that you get with these little toothpicks. So we're going to try to tune it out and go from there. That'll probably be in the second part. This video here is going to be more on the hardware and some flight footage for the guys that are interested in buying it. Or if you just bought it and you want to know more about what you bought. Alright, so for your flight controller ESC combo, it does have built-in OSD, which is going to allow for smart audio. Your flight controller is the Crazy Bee F4, and you do have a little point right here on the end of your arms, which I think is going to be very helpful if you went into crash. You would hit that instead of the motor, so I do like that. Plus it adds a little bit of swag. You got a little bit of style there. It is a BL Heli ESC, and that's phenomenal. That means we plug it into BL Heli Suite or BL Heli S, and we can do all the editing and changing and all everything configuring that we need to do, which I absolutely love. It is a D-Shot ready ESC, which means we should have features like turtle mode and using your motors for beepers, all that fancy stuff that comes with D-Shot. You do have a built-in current meter, which is going to allow you to go up to about 70 amps. You've got a built-in 5-volt 1-amp BEC. Your flight controller does have an MPU 6000 for my guys that are worried about your gyro. Do you want to know if it's real sensitive? Is it not? Whatever. Alright, you've got your built-in voltage sensor as well. This thing here is just packed with features. I'm truly impressed. For 98 bucks, who would have known? Not me. I would definitely not have expected this for 98 bucks. I love it. I did want to mention one other thing about this camera is you do have an adjustable camera. You know, you've got these other little toothpicks where you cannot adjust the camera. So you'll see right here I've got two options. I've got that notch and that notch, which is going to be slow or fast. That's pretty much it. I've got to shift this camera from here to here. That's all I've got. If I want a little more or a little less, I can't have it. As far as being able to just loosen up the screws, one on each end, and actually rotate the camera in any degree that I would like. You do have an XT30 connection for your battery. Okay, so to bind this thing, we have to get down to the bind button, which they decided to put on the center of this board, up under this board, which if you haven't taken this off, you have to get under this too. So I'm not real happy about that, and I'm going to express that now by complaining and whining like a little girl. I do not think they should have done that. I mean, we need the bind button. Why the heck would you hide it from us? That is going to work out for you guys because I'm going to show you a neat little trick where you don't need the bind button. So let's go ahead and put this back together, and I'm going to show you a cool way to bind. Okay, wow, I could not imagine trying to put on those 4 nylon nuts without this guy right here. This is the 4.0 box by iFlight. I am going to link this down in the video description for you because you're probably going to want to have it. Alright pilots, go ahead and use your USB, plug in your quad, let's go. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to bind our receiver. Let's go ahead and bind our receiver. Normally I would flash the flight controller and get the firmware to be a little bit newer. But as you can see right here, we're rocking 4.0.4. Which ain't really bad because I think some of the newest versions I've seen is 4.0.6. So we're right there. This thing is hot off the press. I mean, this is a brand new flight controller. So I'm not really going to mess with firmware. So let's go ahead and bind our receiver, and then we're off for a flight test. For binding our receiver is head over to the CLI. Alright pod, so go ahead and type bind underscore RX underscore SPI. Go ahead and press enter. You will see the red little LED that's on your flight controller change to a solid light. That is how we know we are now in binding mode. So now I'm going to power up my Tyrannus.
Oh yeah, that was the right switch. That didn't suck at all. Switch warning.
I know, that was pretty cool. If you like the way that happened, I do have a full playlist on this Tyrannus that shows you how to do all those really cool things, including how to write your name right here. So go ahead and check that out. I'll put it down in the video description. Now, that is the name of this quad, so that's what I named it on here. Feel free to name it whatever you'd like. Now, in order to bind, you're going to need to come down here, go to your internal RF, change your mode to D8, and then select the bind button. And if that binding noise becomes annoying, you can turn it down like this, if you know how to set that up. If not, I have a video on how to set that up. And then the light on your flight controller should start blinking again. This is letting us know that we have bound. So I'm going to press exit, save and reboot.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered.
Now you can hear the Tyrannus talking, so we know we're connected. Now if I press exit, I want to show you guys, if at all possible, you can see right there that I've got reception. So that means we have bound successfully. We did not have to pull apart the twig. We did not have to try to fiddle with the button and hold it while juggling, while powering on. None of that nonsense. So that's a pretty cool, neat little, nifty little trick. If you guys didn't know how to do that, now you do. Alright, so now we've handled that. Let's go ahead and scroll through setting this thing up. I'm not going to get into detail because I want to get in the air. Alright, ports tab. You can see here in the ports tab, they've already selected for us our VTX with TBS Smart Audio. Alright, so I know you guys are asking me right now, which UART is the receiver on? Is it on UART 1? Is it UART 2? What UART is it on? Because there's not one selected. They've set the TBS Smart Audio for us. How come they didn't set the receiver for us? Which one should we do? Well, we all know that there are some extra wires hanging out the back of the quad and that we have the power to set up an external receiver. So maybe that's why. Maybe they don't know which one we're going to use, so they left it open for us. Wrong. Go ahead, hit them with the end. So now, I want you to know that there is no UART selected because the receiver is built in to the Crazy Bee board. I know, it is crazy, and that's why it's called the Crazy Bee board. So don't worry about selecting anything on that. You are all set. Do not touch anything on this page. I could have just told you not to touch anything on this page and saved a bunch of time, but it was more fun to do that. Enable your expert mode. Head down to configuration. I love reverse props, so I run it. Alright, we are on D-Shot 600. Alright, next up, our gyro and PID loop is running 8K. I just built a 5-inch quad with a $100 stack that only does 8K, 2K, so that's phenomenal. Alright, we don't need to touch anything here. Look at this. They've already done our arming at 180. That's phenomenal. Soon that's going to be the Betaflight stock. We all know it. Right here it says Twig. Y'all already know. I'm changing that to Drainman FPV. Next up is our receiver. And I know you're seeing here SPR RX support, and that is where it has to be, and the reason why is because it is a built-in D8 receiver. So do not change this. If you decide you're going to run an external receiver and you're going to roll with a D16, you do need to change this to Frsky X. RSSI we're not going to mess with, although I do want to set it up, and we will set it up at some point. I do want telemetry on, and I do want air mode on. It's just what I like. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Now, RX lost. Normally, I would not touch that on any quad. I would never ever put that on. If you've watched any of my setup videos, I have never done that. On this one, I am going to do that, because if I lose this and my quad falls, anything happens, I want that thing to beep until I find it. Alright, we are now going to hit save and reboot.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered.
Oh, I love that sound. It lets me know we're on the right track. Alright, let's go ahead and head over to PID tuning. Alright, so here in the PID tuning tab, I'm noticing that they've already selected PIDs. You've already got your PIDs. They've already set us up with a feed forward. You can see with the 60-60-90, the RC rate of 1, super rate is tweaked. They've already set up their own rates on this. Do we want to mess with it? Absolutely. I'm going to put my rates on it because I want what I want, and I'm going to do what I like. You guys feel free to put what you want on it, whatever makes you happy. They've got iTerm Relax on, which I absolutely love that feature. Shout out to the Betaflight devs. They're killing it. Alright, let's hit save. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to shoot over to our receivers tab. And as you'll notice, we have a little bit of jumpage going around. If you want to know how to do this, I'm going to put a video down in the video description. If not, if you look here at my model in the bottom corner, you're going to see that it's slowly drifting. That's what your Twig's going to be doing in the sky if you don't fix this, so do what you want. Alright guys, so as you can see, that is looking much better. Everything's about center. My yaw's still a little jumpy, but not enough to mess with. I didn't bother with that one. Everything else here looks good. Let's head over to our mode. So we want to set up a arm switch. So I'm going to change this to auto, and I'm going to flick it, and I'm going to set it where it belongs. If you don't know how to do that, I have a full video on how to set that up. For angle, I want to delete that because I fly acro. I definitely got to have turtle mode. That is something that I'm just not going to live without. Alright, so that's going to sum it up for the modes. I need to be able to arm it, and I need to be able to flip over if I crash upside down. Save, and let's keep moving. Motors, our motors. We need to spin our motors up and make sure they're going the right direction. If you did not mess with your reverse or unreverse prop direction, then you probably don't have to touch this, but that's up to you if you want to risk it and trust that Eachine took the time to make sure it was going in the right direction. I recommend taking your props off and checking it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit disconnect. I'm going to open up BLHeli-S. And inside of here, I'm going to reverse all of my motors from what they currently are. So I'm going to hit connect. Read setup. So, and I'm going to flip this to reversed. I'm going to flip this to reversed. I'm going to flip this to reverse. And I'm going to flip this to reverse. And I'm going to hit right setup. And that should take me to have all of them spinning in the correct direction now because I flipped them all around. So disconnect, we're going to head back over to Betaflight, and we're going to make sure it's all working. And let's go ahead and see what we got. And a neat little trick you guys can do if you didn't know, and I don't know if you guys knew that or not. You see I'm spinning, and I do have my props off. It's not what it looks like. Take your props off. You can click on the button, whether you want motor 1, 2, 3, or 4, you want the master, doesn't matter. You can click it and then use your arrow keys to bring you up higher so that way you can turn it up because your mouse can be kind of jumpy and then, you know, and then it's freaking out. So feel free to do what I just did, and that's just using a little click. See, I can tone it down and I can tone it up without getting all crazy. Alright, let's check and see what we got. Alright, so now we know that our motors are good. Everything is good with that, so we're good. Let's head over to the OSD and make sure everything is how we like it there. Alright, so they got a ton of stuff on here. RSSI, yeah, okay, looks good. OSD looks good. If you want to get you some large font, you can get into the font manager and change your font a little bit. Let me show you how to do that. Right here it says select font presets. Go to default and click extra large if that's what you're looking for. There's other options too if you want the fancy schmancy one or whatever. So I'm going to do that. It's uploading. It's saved and reboot. So that's alright. So now our quad is set up. It is ready to go. We need to take it outside and we need to take it for a spin. But I do want to show you guys one last thing before we go, and I think it's really cool and I want you guys to learn how to do it. So head over to your CLI real quick and be careful because you can get yourself in trouble messing around in here. So if you're unsure of what you're doing or you've never messed around in here before, you can skip this part or you can copy and paste everything out of here and save it. So you just type set VTX underscore power equals, and then 1 is 25, 2 is 100, and 3 is 200. So I'm going to go to 3, which I think we're already there. And if it wasn't, now it is. So I am now on 200 milliwatts. Good to go. Hit save. I like flying on channel R1, so I'm going to show you how to set that up so you understand it. There is a little graph the graph shows your channels across and your bands down. So you've got band A, B, E, F, R, etc. like that. It's just simple. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then across the top you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just like that. So I'm going to show you how to put your quad in, for example, R1. Alright, let's go ahead and do that now. So it's simple. Set and then VTX underscore band equals, and for my band it is going to be 5 because it is R. So I'm going to press 5 and I'm going to press enter. So as you can see, I just set it to be on R. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit set VTX underscore channel equals 1. I want to be on R1. Enter, and as you can see, it was successful. If you get an error, that means you did it wrong. Redo it. And once you've completed it and you know it's correct, type save, press enter. That's your save and reboot. Alright pilots, let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin. If you don't want to enjoy the flight footage, all you wanted was a setup, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you are interested in the flight footage, let's go have some fun.